How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I apologize for being a little bit congested here still, but I wanted to go over some questions. I know I haven't done this as much this week yet, so I want to go over some of them. First one here, I think, is a really interesting one. Cis, man, I always mispronounce his name. Cicero Sicario, gamer. He he's asking about Fubo. He remembered back in November when I mentioned them, and he thinks it's actually at a good price now. Which, if we look here, Fubo is sitting around, let's see, what, 21.68. We saw it jump way higher than this a couple months ago. We saw it go up into the 60s actually. So his question is this a good time to buy? In my opinion, this is about what, 3 month, 4 month lows. In my opinion, on Fubo, there's a lot of back and forth whether this company will ever be profitable. With how they do their accounting, with how they're scaling up, a lot of people think that they won't be profitable. The other thing is people give them a hard time because their subscription is actually very expensive compared to other subscriptions, and I think that could cause them to be not adopted as quickly as some other companies. However, I think this company is really a bet on whether you think they're going to integrate gambling in their product very well. If they can integrate the gambling side of their product, the sports betting right next to the sports, I think that they will become profitable. So right now, I don't feel comfortable enough to make this like one of my top positions by any means. Like I bought it a while ago and I've just been sitting on it. I think this is a long-term play, but it's not one that I'm going to go put, you know, 5 or 10% of my portfolio in. Now, of course, if you do more research and feel more strongly about it than I do, I think that you could put more into it. But in my opinion, I'm comfortable with it as more of a speculative play towards sports gambling, but it's higher risk than some other plays that I've seen. Okay, from there though, we have some other questions, and we'll get to the ones in the Patreon here for in a second. But I do apologize too, just because of the fact that. So I have to get away from that for a second. Just because of the fact that I am congested still, so I apologize for that. But we'll try to get past that. So we're gonna go over here. Questions on Patreon, and I'm not going to cut this either. Sam, where's the chat channel? It disappeared. I don't know why it would have disappeared. I didn't do anything to it. What do I think about AVO? Would the stock recover? So I haven't looked at AVO. I haven't actually even heard about it. If we go over here, sorry, doing some couch shopping there. AVO stock. I honestly don't know anything about this company. So it was up at 15. Now it's dropped significantly, 54%. Uh, yeah. So it looks like they fell probably because they did the share offering. I have no idea on this one, so sorry about that. I'm not the best person to ask, but just wanted to pull it up to see. I know you like T-Doc. What about HIMS? So I sold HIMS a little while ago. There are just a handful of different companies in this space. So right now I have T-Doc, and I also have LFMD. I added a little bit more LFMD because I thought it was oversold. What happened to Tattooed Chef? I think it's just been trading down with the whole market. Would like to know some details about your dividend stocks. I know that you're asking. I know that's asking like 10 videos, but maybe you can do a quick one with some details on dividend yield, expected growth, and some conviction facts. So I did a video on that actually recently. I'm not sure I went into super great depth on expected growth on the dividend stocks, like what I thought their dividends would increase, but I did talk about the dividend yield and some other stuff like that. Okay. ARK recently sold all their shares in HIMS. Yep. So I had sold around then too. Uh, do I think Tattooed Chef is still a hold? Yeah. So I think it's still in the same spot that it was before. I think if you're bullish on that whole market, I think Tattooed Chef is the one to go with. Now, I have heard some people pushing back and forth, like, okay, we've had the pandemic this year, though, so like a lot of people have been eating at home. They might have gotten some press from their SPAC, so a lot of people might have been going to try out their products, but I don't know how significant that is. And I think if you're going plant-based food, if you're going freezer food, Tattooed Chef is the cheapest by far. When's the torch video coming? I don't know if I'm gonna do one on that. Have I looked into FRX? Any thoughts on it? I have. I don't know if I'm the best person to ask about it though, because I did that probably a month ago. Please look into skills. Is it the time to get in? So I've looked into skills, but I'm still not buying it at this point. I think there's some push back and forth on whether it got propped up this year, or I believe they need some big hits to continue their growth, and the question is whether they can do that. Now, again, this is another one that I looked at pretty heavily like a month or two ago, so I don't always remember exactly what I figured out after I did the research on it. But this is the lowest that's been in 3 months. So if you're looking to get into it, now it's not a bad time, honestly. Thanks for the message on you selling ACIC since it's been 6 years away. Do you have a list of other specs you currently own? So I actually just wrote you back on this a minute ago. If you had to pick CCIV or STPK, uh, that's a tough question. Uh, honestly, if I was stuck between the two, I would pick STPK. I have more in STPK, but Lucid could do really well over long term. But I would go with STPK. Uh, you want to open a Fidelity account, but I don't know if it's protected from FCA. Does anyone know something? So I actually wrote you back on this too, I believe. FCA, I don't think we have that here in America, but yeah. So they're saying CCIV has a large valuation but hasn't sold the car. STPK is going to 4x revenue this year. Yep. Some time ago, you wrote that 29th March is a lockup period expiring for Palantir. Can you comment on this? I'm confused. So I don't. I'm not gonna watch this now, but yeah. So I heard that was the second lockup period for Palantir that was dropping off. Now, sometimes they actually rocket up after this because of the fact that like people aren't selling shares or they sell like a little bit later. But Palantir's at a really good value right now, like $21, $22 in my opinion is a really good deal long term. We haven't seen values like this in a while either. I really like Palantir. I'm still holding it. I might add more over time. I'm holding XL stock. I haven't done anything on XL or looked into XL since they announced. I think a lot of people just aren't as excited with some of these SPACs after they go through, so you have to be a little bit careful. Okay, when you had all your money in stablecoin before buying your house, how did the withdrawal process go? Uh, like from BlockFi, and then you do an exchange to convert it to US dollars before back to your bank account. Uh, what exchange do I use? Okay, so I just I withdrew it from stablecoin into USD. You can't hold US dollars, I believe, on BlockFi. So it just converted from stablecoin over into my bank account into USD, and it was super easy. Like it doesn't work with some of these smaller banks. Like I have a Chase account, and then I have a small regional bank too. So I had to put it in my Chase account, and then I moved it over to my other account later. Uh, you posted ARK X holdings. Any comments? I find them bizarre. Number of shares in each holding is very small. Yeah, so they didn't actually have the account open. So I don't know what they did to fund the like original $1 million that they showed uh, yesterday. They did. I should say it this way. They didn't have the ETF open for trading yesterday. So they posted the $1 million in it. I don't know if they just like put some dummy money in there or if they didn't actually have money, but that was just kind of showing the weighting or something. But uh, sorry, my cold is acting up now. But I think they are a little bit bizarre. I think they're playing it a little bit safe, which I understand in this environment because the speculative stocks have been doing quite poorly. So I think they were playing a little bit safe. They didn't want to put in like a lot of SPACs that went from $10 down after they actually merged, which I kind of get, but I would have thought they would have had more pure space plays. Like even if you just put the space SPACs in there and put them at a lesser weighting, then as time goes on, add to them. I think they are just kind of space oriented a little bit, but not really that strong on space. So I think as time goes on, as as Black Sky becomes more prevalent, as Redwire becomes bigger, I think they might add these, and then like a year from now, they can say, "Oh yeah, we have a lot of space stocks." But right now, I don't feel a need to invest in it. GNOG looks like a very good value right now. What do you think? I see some YouTubers also thinking the same. Let's pull it up here. So 1271, Golden Nugget. So I should probably look into Golden Nugget more again because I haven't looked at it really that closely since they announced last year when it was in this range. But I am invested in DraftKings, so I honestly should take a look at this a little bit more again and uh, see their value because they have been falling a lot. Good point on that. What's my views on LFMD? So this is one that I added to more today. It fell a lot. This is something I want to cover. So someone asked me to expand a little bit on this in one of my next videos. So they had a huge EPS loss. They went through $41.2 million this quarter. So this was partly because of an increase in selling and marketing. So they've been trying to accelerate their investment in patient acquisition. So that was pretty expensive, but that helps them continue their growth. So I'm okay with that. Another large part of it was stock-based compensation and amortization of $20.1 million. So I don't think this is going to be a reoccurring expense for any reason. The increase was due to non-cash stock-based compensation associated with several new management hires. So they're adding to their management team. If this continues, it would be worrisome to me, but right now, just one quarter, I'm not too worried about it. It was a massive miss, though, and that's why we saw such a drop. This is something that I didn't want to see, but I bought more shares. So long term, I don't think it changes the company really at all, but it might cause them to have to dilute shares a little bit more down the road, which isn't great. But it's not something that makes me want to sell out of the position. Butterfly is coming after earnings report. Any thoughts on this? So let's pull up Butterfly. Let me see the ticker. So I was invested in this. It just wasn't a large position, but let's look. Down about 7% today. Yeah, it's just been floating back and forth a little bit. Let's see. I actually didn't see what their reports were. Ooh, okay, so 46.3 million. That's a good increase. I'm not sure what this compared to, uh, compared to what they were expecting, because I know that they had their expectations on their SPAC investor presentation. Formed strategic collaboration with American College of Cardiology. That's impressive. Okay, as probe sales continue to increase, driven by further adoption of our technology. In the fourth quarter, we introduced the next generation Butterfly probe, the IQ Plus, and more upgrades to proprietary patented technology. Okay, so that looks good. That seems like a good quarter, but it is coming down a little bit. Maybe people were expecting more. It was down significantly. Yeah, I like this. If you're looking at like a really small or a smaller healthcare play, but it's got a good product. They're backed by some good people. However, I don't know how big the market is for what they're doing. I know in the investor presentation they talk about how big the market is. It's just kind of small. But as time goes on, like it could grow, and I don't remember if it's 8 billion. I want to say it's 3 or 8 billion, and the market cap's only 3 billion. So I think if they traded even at like a 5 price to sales, and they got the majority of the market, if they got $2 billion of that, it could still triple from here. So I think Butterfly's at an interesting place, but I probably won't buy it just because I feel like there's some other deals in the market still. Okay, I don't. Okay, so we do have some other questions. Thoughts on USWS? I was in at $2.97, and I did average cost. Now I'm 192. Yeah, so USWS was one that a lot of people wanted me to talk about. I just don't like it. People like around this range were saying that I should talk about it, and I just looked at it and I was like, no, I don't want to talk about it. It's uh, environmental stewardship in the oil and gas industry. It's using hydraulic fracturing emissions. I know some people are still bullish on it, but I don't know. I didn't like it enough to talk about it. I talked about skills a little bit. I'm still holding ABML. Um, it's really volatile. So ABML is another one that got pushed up, and then because of the market, it's kind of fallen and fallen and fallen. I'm still holding it. That's why I like putting like a small portion into these penny stocks, because I don't like these are just risky. So I'm holding it. It's a long term play. We knew that battery recycling wouldn't really take place that much this year or next year or the next year. It's a long term play. Sorry. I still coughing a little bit. Watch this video from Meet Kevin. Looks like BlockFi is a big scam. So, yeah, I saw him talking about this. I also saw Andre Jick talk about this and say he doesn't think this is going to happen. So he's basically saying that all cryptocurrencies could collapse because stablecoins can be lent out and lent out and lent out. So if let's say I buy a stablecoin at Gemini, and then Gemini loans this stablecoin out to BlockFi, and then you put your money in BlockFi, and then they lend out the or they take that stablecoin that was lent from Gemini, and then put it and give it to some other institution. Like there's just a long line of people that can borrow from this stablecoin, and the risk becomes higher if people go make a run on it. So uh, the thing is, though, this can happen in the normal financial institution too. Like if people went and did a run on the banks too, this could happen. So I don't think it's likely to happen, but Meet Kevin does think that it's a problem, and I think he's actually selling out of Bitcoin for this reason. But if you take a look at Bitcoin price, obviously it's not really something that's bothering a lot of people because it's near all-time highs. Like this is not something that's worrying most investors invested in Bitcoin. I don't think Tesla would have invested in Bitcoin if they thought that this was a really big possibility, and they probably know better than just about anyone, uh, besides maybe crypto experts. But Meet Kevin's point was, all of crypto can go down if stablecoin goes down because people will lose faith in the system. Uh, okay, if we need all the money at the retirement age of 60, at what age do you think stop doing investment and taking money out from stock market to not affect from price drop and volatility? So I think there should be probably a rebalancing as you get older, but I don't think you want to start taking your money out of the stock market and putting it in cash. At least not significantly. Like maybe a year or two, maybe like if you're being conservative, maybe 2 years. But you don't want to take all your money out of the market because then you lose all the power that you have to increase that nest egg. Uh, I mean, imagine if there's some type of inflationary period and your money becomes much less valuable. I would say you want to just decrease risk a little bit. Maybe put a little bit more in some, bonds, or, maybe not bonds because bonds don't pay that well, but something that's a little bit less risky. Maybe some other, maybe just index funds or something like that. I know a lot of people say not to take anything out of the market because chances are it's going to go up. It's not like if you have $1 million and you're taking out, let's say, 50,000 a year or something. If the market goes down and you take out 50,000, it's not like your whole portfolio is screwed. But that's something that you should probably talk to someone more in depth about, depending on your situation. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, I have no idea why BNGO and VACQ would be down today. Yeah, so this is from a while ago. Okay, so I probably can't hit on that because that was like 5 days ago. Almost all of the members in the Discord are running out of money. Yeah. Sorry. Still just working through this cough. It's hard to talk this long, I guess. Yeah, so I've been running out of money a little bit too. Siddhartha says, sorry to hear about your fever. I hope you feel better soon. Thanks. Fever's feeling much better. Just a little bit of a cough now. Yeah, so I'm not going to buy ARK X, but I appreciate it. Can we buy Tesla at this rate? You can buy Tesla whenever you like. You don't have to do what I do. I would suggest not doing what I do because you should be doing your own research on it. But yeah, you can buy Tesla whenever you want. I like Tesla. I bought some last week, I want to say. But yeah, I like Tesla long term. Definitely at a decent price now, I think. But some people say it's very overvalued too. So that's where your own research comes into play here. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.